everybody. And I went to a therapy session. It was called Breathworks, and I found out that my mother really didn't want to let go of me. I found out that I should have been a preemie. I should have come out 3 months before a full term, and my mother wouldn't let me go. And all of this I asked my mother about. I said, Mom, she said, how did you know that? But there are things that you can do with therapy to go back and find out who you are. Long story short, I come out, and the doctor, in those days, Puerto Ricans were honorary whites, and they would put on your birth certificate. Did you know that, Brother James? They put white.
Dr. Ben has it on his.
Yes, exactly, exactly. So they put on and my grandmother told the doctor, are you colorblind? He was in shock. You're going to give this child a Negro classification? She said, absolutely. I don't want him stupid. And on my birth certificate, it says Negro. So I grew up in a positive black Puerto Rican environment. In fact, brother, when I would go downstairs with Bloods on the block, and they start talking about how horrible or how ugly, I said, no. I'm not ugly. And they say, you just light, yellow boy. You just think, because I said, no, it's not even that. I'm not ugly. And it's you just as ugly as we are, rusty, dusty, they used to call me. And I said, what? And they said, who told you that? I said, my grandmother's. Your grandmother's a liar. Now, you don't say that to a Puerto Rican. That's where the stuff would hit the fan. I'd jump out, and we'd be duking it right on so until they learn you don't talk about family. You know how the dozens are played? You know, we play the dozens. You don't do that with Puerto Ricans. It doesn't work. Your mother, what? You know they're the Virgin Marys, even though they ain't. So that's how I grew up, with that positive understanding of blackness. Not to mention that the people I love, and I'm going to say this openly, most of the opportunities that I've gotten in life did not come from Latinos who rejected me because I was black many times. Not all the times, but most of the time. The Young Lords was not an easy group to formulate with 3 black leaders. This was difficult. And the one who told me, Brother James, to go to the Young Lords was none other than Rap Brown. He said, your job with us is done. I was the first Puerto Rican on 125th Street, the first black man to teach a Black Power course after Stokely had written Black Power with Charles Hamilton. Nobody was teaching it. I was the first one to teach it. I taught it at Queens College. Well, Puerto Ricans thought I was crazy. What are you doing as if my blackness is different from that? I just couldn't understand it. So I said, I stayed basically in the black community. And Rap told me one day, he said, it's time. I said, what are you talking about, man? I ain't going into the Puerto Rican. They're not ready for no armed struggle. He said, then make them ready. And then Guyland Kane from The Last Poets told me, you got to go back home. I didn't want to do it, to be honest with you. I just didn't think my people were ready to move in the direction that we were moving with respect to black nationalism. Because remember, it started with black nationalism, then it went to revolutionary nationalism, and then it went to what we call socialism. But it took a long time. So it was black men who got me to where I am today. And I should say this, when I went to jail, it was Muslims who protected me. You're never going to get something. You're never going to get me to get into this anti-Muslim hysteria. It's not going to happen. Next question.
So I appreciate your presentation.
Thank you.
And I've heard you over the years. And I think at one point you even said you spoke to some, I guess, of Black Panthers, and they talked about being a Brown Panther, and they said.
No, that was Bobby Seale.
Okay, yeah.
When I first started the Young Lords in '67, Brother James, you'll appreciate this. I went to Bobby Seale and had come to the city.
But I do have one other.
Yes, I said, but I went to him and I said, look, I want to start something akin to yours. Right. He said, what is it, young blood? I said, I want to call it the Brown Tigers.
Oh, Brown Tigers.
You the Black Panthers. I want to, he said, boy, you want to catch hell? He said, we're catching enough hell being Black Panthers. You better think of something else and start thinking of your community as opposed to trying to ape us and imitate us. So and to this day, I'm very close to Bobby, and we talk all the time about that. Yes, sir.
So, but now this is about just curiosity about one of your colleagues from back in the day, Geraldo Rivera. Right?
Mm-hmm.
You continued on your path of social justice and activism. Just some reflections, if you could. I mean, where he is now, and if you're still in touch with him. Back in the day, I kind of looked at him as somebody who was out front, but nowadays, I mean, I guess he has different.
People, you know, what I've learned about. By the way, I graduated from Union Theological Seminary with a degree in Christianity and social justice. And I've had to learn to forgive. People change. There are different reasons for going into revolution. Some people go into it for an ideological reason. There's, I have a philosophy that says I want all lands to be free. So other people go into it for land reasons. This is my community. This is, I'm going to fight for that. Geraldo, I think, went into and helped us as a lawyer. He never joined the Young Lawyers because he needed to embed himself in Puerto Rican culture.
Was he Jerry Rivers then?
They say he called himself Jerry Rivers. He was brought up on Long Island in Hempstead. I don't know if that's true.
Have that identity.
No, his mother's Jewish.
His name's more
His mother's Jewish, his father's Puerto Rican. And in Judaism, if your mother's Jewish, you Jewish. So he came in and he told me, I don't know who I am. I mean, I kind of get it, but I need to know. I need to fight. And the only way you get who you are is when you have to affirm it and fight for it. And he did. And with all of the nonsense, because what happens with many have you ever seen, a lot of the kids, a lot of white kids that joined the SDS and did the Weathermen, after the war was over, went right back.
Kind of go through a phase.
You go through a phase and forget about it. Panthers couldn't do that. You could be a Panther. Fred Hampton is dead. Huey is dead. Rap Brown is 12 stories under. Now he has cancer. He's in Atlanta. Stokely Carmichael is dead. Martin is dead. Man, people can say they have different philosophies, and therefore, I say I don't care what philosophy. If you're black, we in the same boat. That's why I get mad when Puerto Ricans fight Dominicans and Dominicans fight Mexicans. Are you serious, sucker? You in the same bullshit. But they get caught up because they haven't studied black history and studied that no matter what philosophy you espouse, they'll find a way to jam you up. Now, this is not to say that we're to base our entire ideological perspective on race alone, because that becomes a problem. Class struggle and Marxist history has to be studied, even in the church. You see what I'm saying? Nah. I really think that in the end, what happened with him is once they saw that he was going through that, what I call post-adolescence phase, they offered him the money. And if you're not ideological, you take it. So he got, I think, $40 million to go to Fox. We can laugh and say, oh, man, that's ridiculous. Brother, my mother used to say, wait till it happens to you before you talk. $40 million. Who turned in Malcolm? His bodyguard turned. How much did they offer him, and was it worth it? Gene Evans. How could you do that? Who got Fred Hampton killed? His bodyguard. Put drinks in his thing. We don't know. Fox offered me, and I have a great mother and I have a great God. Fox offered me one time when I was working at Channel 5 a thing called Streets. And they wanted me to wear a little camera, just about this big, because the Army has developed a camera, y'all. That's why I tell brothers, don't be stupid. Do you think they're not watching you? Little camera. This little camera could take this whole room in with clear resolution, with sound, and said, we'd like you to go down to the places you know and, just do some research. And you come back and we'll see what we got. So I already knew what time it was, so I didn't say no. Never say no immediately, y'all. Take time. Go back, say, sir, I'll think about it. And say it in your best unaccented English. I don't know what it is about us, but we want to get dogged. Yo, man, I'm not doing that. Shut up. Learn to speak on 5 different levels. Sir, I'll think about it. I came back, wore a 3-piece suit, and I said, sir, I've thought about it. I'm a little perturbed. Let's work this out. You want me to take this little camera and go to the places that I know? Does that mean drug mills? Well, kind of. Does that mean prescription pills? Well, yeah. Does that mean after hours, where half my family is hanging out? He said, yeah, let's see what's happening there. I said, okay. Have you ever asked Roseanne Scotto to ask her father to go into those clubs and ask her daddy? You know who her father is, right? Her father's named Scotto, who was the biggest gangster in New York and ran the docks. Killed more Italians. They're all in the bottom of the East River. Not killed, but let's just say things happened. You know what I mean, Charlie? Things happened. Roseanne Scotto, you never asked her to kind of go into a living room and hear her father's conversation. All right. Have you ever asked, there was a guy who was a cop on Channel 5 who helped bust the Central Park 5. Have you ever asked him to take a little thing and go into the police station and hear the racist comments that are being made against black? Have you? No. So the guys, you know, sometimes the red starts going up here, goes up to the ears, and he started getting, he said, well, obviously you don't want to do this because you're afraid of getting hurt. I said, no, see, now you got it the wrong way. Most of the dope dealers I know are ready to leave. I'm 67. Most of them ready to leave. They've already done their thing, and if they're smart, they're getting out the business. No, they would do it for me because they would I put a matrix on their faces, and nobody would ever know. I do it because of ethics. I'm not going into my community and going to rat them out. Plus, half of them are my family members. I happen, God bless me, because let me tell you something. The money in drugs is stupid. The violence in drugs is even stupider. The spiritual death in drugs selling is even worse. You see these guys, and after 10 years, there's something about them. It's like you watch an old call girl. Old call girls, after a while, they've done it so much, there's no life in them anymore. They've gotten like hitmen. Well, the same thing happens with this stuff. So he said, ethics, what the hell are you talking about? I said, ethics. I'm not going to go into my community and do that. He said, you've just lost $1 million. Now, so you go back home. You know what I'm saying? You talk to your boy. $1 million? Negro, are you out your mind? No, this ethics. But remember, I have a mother and a grandmother who are Pentecostal. And yes, they beat my butt, but they taught me ethics and loyalty. Loyalty to code. Yes, sir. The most important message in any appeal, the most important manifestation of your belief system is just to be. I've stopped trying to convince Puerto Ricans that they're black. I'll talk to them. I've stopped trying to convince Dominicans. I've stopped trying to convince black folk that they're black. I just am. And when they listen to me and hear me, it takes them aback. I will represent Congo values. I will represent Mandinka values. I will represent the composure of black men. I will represent black masculinity. I will represent who I am. Now, in the old days, I don't know if you know the Pentecostals, they used to hit you over the moment you leave that door, if you don't ever get saved today, you don't know if the devil, and you're so scared to leave the church because a bullet may come by, or and they run that on you. I don't think God is looking for that today. He wants you to want him, not to need him. And so my feeling now is being rather than acting. Be. Brother, an old brother used to tell me, he used to hear me, because I was like you. I would go in there and beat them over the head. And a lot of black people in those days understood that a Puerto Rican. Today, when I go to young black people, yeah, but man, why are you even talking like that, man? You know, you can pass. And I say, isn't this something? They don't have no idea. None. And while there is intermingling more of cultures than there ever has been, black and Latinos getting together. We got Blaxicans now in California, where Mexicans used to hate each other, hate black people. Now you got blacks and kids who are being brought up both black and Mexican. Check that out. I don't even have to begin to talk about Puerto Ricans and blacks. I don't know if you. I saw a woman, Natasha Oliwonke, something like that, Rodriguez. I said, what? They're putting the names together, and then you see this little child running around. He got half straight, half nappy hair. Looks like, Sundiata, and you say, wait a minute, what's going on? And she said, my baby father, Puerto Rican. So we got it. The street people already are there. It's we who are so-called educated who haven't gotten it together yet. My advice to you is to read as much as you can about black culture. Read as much as you can about Latino culture, because your job, I think, is not with black people. See, I think it's sometimes prophets have no honor in their own country. You need to go to Latinos and explain to them, hey, have you heard this? And just drop some science on them, and then leave. No, we think, and Afro-Peruvians, we have a song called Toro Mata that Celia Cruz sang and made a hit at. It's a Peruvian tune. It comes from African-Peruvian combinations, harmonies, and melodies. But my thing is, here's where scholasticism comes in. Read as much as you can. And then drop the science on them easily. Latinos are going through a tremendously rough period now because they're becoming a major force in the country. Obama would have never won without them. And they're not quite, they're ready to rule, but they're not, you know what I mean? They don't feel ready to rule yet. And that's a problem. So what I do is I say, get prepared for the future. It's ours. This country is ours. I mean, I try to explain to African Americans, don't get mad at the next group, at the next vanguard. You know how we get mad? We are here first. We should be getting all the jobs. Stop. Stop it. Black folk, America allows each culture to have, what, about 10 years, 20 years in the sun? You can be black as long as you want. After that, the party's over. And already they're saying, this is post-racial society. You don't need no more affirmative action. We got to get a standard right. They're going right back to where we knew they were in the first place. We don't get it. They'll give you 20 years, and after that, it's over. Then they'll take the next group, pit them against you, and say, okay, your turn, Latino. And Latinos are going to go up there thinking that they got it going on. They'll get 20 years until the Chinese come in. And the Chinese will come in, and they'll give them 20. This is a perpetuating vanguard. They'll keep on doing it, and we don't get it yet. Meanwhile, we're fighting each other. Doesn't make any sense. Brother, you were going to ask something in the back.
This is the final question. I'm a late bloomer. I'm a little older than everybody as you can see. I was with the Newark Police Department.
Poor baby. Oh, God. Were you here with Gibson?
Yeah, I came on doing the time. Came on.
Damn.
We fought hell.
Yes, you did.
We fought hell. Part of what I'm trying to say is, even when I came on, there was 50 guys in the past, only 7 blacks.
That's right.
The Hispanic group, we're brothers. We're brothers. We should all stick together. Gibson would have never won without this.
That's right. He had Agneses as his deputy mayor.
Well, as you say, when they got what they wanted, then we're no longer brothers. I wound up in the SWAT unit.
Yep.
There was 100 of us in the SWAT unit, mostly Italians.
Yep.
Italians and the Irish stuck together.
Mm-hmm.
I used to come in and work every day. I see these Italian guys in the corner, along with this thing. People point at the brothers, laughing. So when they had asked, I came in, I said, I knew what it was about. The ideas that come out lips, nose,
Mm-hmm.
calling us stupid. So I walked over there and I got in there behind and I told this Spanish brother, I said, you ought to be ashamed of yourself living with them like that. I said, you think you're right. said, yeah. I looked at them. I said, is he white? They all laughed and walked away. I said, you the stupidest so-and-so I've met in my life.
Mhm.
I called the instigator, one who started stuff. And I said, I called him back. I said, I don't want to see this no more, or I'm going to give a history lesson. And Hannibal.
Well, oh no, you didn't go there. You didn't go there, did you?
He said, I went there. He said, brother, looking around. I said, cut it out, because next time I'm giving history lesson.
That's right.
I said, why, you know why you this color, our color?
Let me tell you something. The reason we get along with Sicilians very well because they are black.
Yeah.
Hannibal went through there. They say that Hannibal brought 10,000 elephants through the Alps and actually marched them in a road that was no wider than two of these things, sometimes as wide as narrow as this first row. 10,000. Do you know what African elephants are? They're the most ornery, murderous, vengeful elephants I've ever seen in my life. That's why in most circuses you see Indian elephants with short ears. African elephants are no joke. He trained 10,000 of them. Could you imagine what an Italian woman must have felt when she saw a black man on top of a huge African? She must have gone, oh my God. He never conquered over. Yes, he won all of his battles. He never quite won Rome. And so what they did, they still teach his campaigns in West Point. What they did to get back at Hannibal is they pillaged Carthage. So he had to go back home to fight there, and that's where they busted him.
The Battle of Zama in 202. What happened in Italy, by and large, was Hannibal was fighting a war of attrition.
That's right.
And the Carthaginians never sent supplies over. So what happened, Scipio Africanus and Flavius the
Flavius, yes.
devised a plan, but really Flavius devised a plan not to fight Hannibal in any direct battle because he had to pillage the land. It was a war of attrition. And it weakened him so much after his brother Hasdrubal and Margot were killed that he had to go back to Africa to defend
His home place,
Yeah.
and that's what
it
it.
was. The battle in 202. It's called the Battle of Zama.
It's
Take one of my courses, you'll learn about it.
Right now, I'm trying to get the people of New York together. Not the older people, but to get the old people and get the younger people.
yes,
Because I'm a newbie to this here.
yeah.
I fell in this when the first Dr. Colvin,
I don't know him.
Hidden Color,
Oh, hidden. Okay.
Hidden Color.
But what I'm
I read that.
I'm working for as director of communications over at for Mayor Ross Baraka today, and I have noticed that there is that sort of camaraderie. It is no mistake that so many Latinos in the North Ward, for example, those are Italians. I remember coming here with Imamu Amiri Baraka and them pulling shotguns out on us. They told us straight to our faces, we will kill you. Did they look at me and say I was Puerto Rican and I was different? No, they tried to bomb me out of the church. I walked out 15 minutes before Tony Imperiale had a bomb in there. And I walked out just before that bomb exploded. Now, it was rough during that time, and we put Gibson in, fool, ended up corrupt, but that's a whole nother thing. What I'm saying is that, and I'd like you to understand this too, Italians have a facility for our language. And so it's easy to get along with that group. Also, they have a very strong family system and they're Catholic. So it's easy to get into that groove. I will speak to Concetta, who's the fire department chief, and it's like I'm talking to my uncle because they have very similar familial traits. What you're concerned about is he identifying? So you can have a remarkable relationship with someone and know what your color is. It's a problem. And remember that among African Americans, particularly under the British system of government, race consciousness, not race consciousness, is a big thing. Among Latinos, the race consciousness is not as much as the culture. You see what I'm saying? So we're not focusing on that. Now, more and more young Latinos are focusing on race consciousness because black people have led the way. It is still a problem because the dearth, the lack of Latino organizations supporting black positions is disheartening. When Zimmerman killed Trayvon Martin, there were no Latino churches that were present, at least that I saw, in Florida. Well, the problem is he does. He does know he's black, and he's running away from as much as possible. He killed his brother. What he did is he killed blackness. See, I believe psychologically, his mother, who's Ecuadorian, by the way, taught him, don't you ever. She married a guy who's not Ecuadorian, and he was running from himself. And if you look at him, he's not a good-looking guy. Trayvon Martin was gorgeous, wasn't he? Beautiful black man. What he did, and I call it killing yourself, is Cain killing Abel. I'm not going to let you run into my neighborhood. He's accepted all of the stereotypes about black men that his neighbors told him about. But my point is that not one organization, not one Latin organization, Latino organization joined them. They're not there yet, Papa. And so what we have to do is slowly build into that. Slowly. And by the way, it's going to happen. I told them, these are the 3 little girls here, and I was kidding with them because they remind me of my daughters. I said, you will have the favor of the emperor for a minute. And the moment he feels that you are threatening his power, he's going to whip your butt. And you know, people get black real quick when they get smashed in their head. It's amazing how black, I have seen Puerto Ricans say, no, you don't say nigga, I'm not black. Bang! They go right to Al Sharpton. They get black real quick. You see what I'm saying? It takes a little time, but sometimes, pow, pow, sometimes that's what happens. So whichever way it happens, I'm positive that they will achieve consciousness. But it's going to take time. And all I ask is that and I tell black folk, understand how you lead the way. I'm not saying that because I'm less of a black man, less of a Puerto Rican. Black folk have been given the unenviable task of leading consciousness. Phyllis Wheatley was the first woman to read. It was Du Bois. It was Frederick. You have been, had it not been for them and Garvey, where would I be? This is your duty. You don't have an option. Black folks do not have an option. God put us here, and I believe this to the bottom of my heart. God, we just didn't just come and change. I really believe that the Creator said, I'm going to show people what faith can do. And black people here, if there's one thing you can say about black folks here, is that they live by faith. Latinos live by family. Black folk live by faith alone. And I'm amazed. I'm amazed. Listen, if half of the stuff that happened to black folk in this country happened to Latinos, the place will be burned to the ground, man. Latinos got an Indian, a Native American, an Arabic sense of vengeance and justice. Only black people could have taken this and actually said, well, I forgive him. He killed my child, but I forgive him. And, you know, it blows my mind. And I've had these arguments with black preachers. I say, you know, there's a point. Yes, I will pray, and I have them pray with me. I say, but pass the ammunition. I'm not that kind of a Christian, brother. You know, it is our problem, but there's something to be admired about that. And as one sister told me, as I was telling Miss Catherine, my second mother, I said, well, why don't you kill him? She said, baby, you can't go around killing everybody. This is black folk. You can't go around killing everybody. You got to take it easy. Felipe, sit down, baby. Eat some food. You know, the first thing we think is that you're protein deficient. And as soon as you eat that food, you know we get CPD, colored people's disease. We fall out. I didn't ask no more questions after I ate. But there's something about us that I love, and it's the one Africans have this incredible ability to be composed to. That's why we are getting mad at Obama. He's an African. When you go to Africa and you ask these guys questions, they don't jump up, I will kill that sucker. They just, They do not, African men don't act like that. It's composure. Composure is what Yoruban kings were based on, not on how well they could fight. You see what I'm saying? So he is just composed. We have never seen a smart black man in office. That's what's bothering us. And I'll end with this, Papa. God must have a sense of humor because he gave us a black middle-class man. He's not a street runner, right? He diddy bops to the stage every time he gets there. But his last name is Arabic. Here we are talking all this nonsense. We're talking to a black whose father is a Muslim. This is a funny sense of humor, man. And by the way, he's leading us in the 21st century. I would hope you all understand that. He doesn't want to get involved in a lot of stuff. I'm not saying he's done everything right. I get mad at some of the stuff. I think we should have hit Syria a long time ago. But he is an interesting study in composure. He will not, and by the way, he has not cheated on his wife yet. I hope it never happens. But you know what I'm saying. They were waiting. They're waiting. They sent the Puerto Rican over the gate. Do you know this, sir? Sent the Puerto Rican guy, the vet, he went into the White House. And how did that, you know what they're doing, Brother James? You know what they're telling him? You know what they're telling the president? Mess up and see what happens. You know nobody gets through the White House. The hell are you talking about? They killed brothers on the street for less. Got over the fence, ran up into the house, and opened the door. And you think it's happened haphazardly? Folks, in this country, if you black, you still got the tar baby on you. They still watching. And all I'm saying is be aware of what's really going on. Be aware. Thank you very much.
No, I don't feel it. Oh, okay. Well, maybe next time. He's going to be back. Thank you, Brother Felipe. I think at the very minimum, if you're interested in everything that he talked about and what our good sister, Dr. Georgina Fowler, is going to talk about tomorrow, at the very minimum, listen to Howard Jordan's Latino Journal on Friday. Felipe's on there quite often. Do that. I think it's, Friday, what is it, Felipe, 3:30? Yeah, WBAI 99.5. Even pick up a copy of Juan Gonzalez's book. I read the book, Harvest of Empire. Do something. Be something. Right.
Black folks, we need to stop. Listen, there's some Puerto Rican kid out here who probably needs your help. Probably needs your help. People are going to say, why don't you help a black child? Help the next one's coming up.
Felipe, don't go yet. We got something we got to do before you run. And I know you're running.
Black people
Right.
told me I can only help black people. I can't help you. I would be nowhere. I learned blackness from black people. So if you see a kid or these little Dominican kids, help them along. Sit with them. Have them. Bring them to church. Bring them to the mosque. Let them know what's happening so that they can understand from Garvey, you see what I mean, to this. We're not doing that, and we're so busy talking with each other. Sometimes you got to expand the conversation.
Okay, before we go, we have a tradition here in the Office of Africana Studies. Everybody that's ever here, and we've had everybody who is somebody and everybody who ain't somebody here, what we do is we take a group picture. So we're going to ask Brother Felipe to come up on the stage. Anybody in the audience, it doesn't matter who you are. If you want, well then, right. But if you want to be in our group picture, please come up on the stage right now. And that includes the camera people in the back. If you want to be in it, and you folks over there, Alex, you guys want to be in it? Okay. Katricia, come on up here. Okay. Where's our cameraman?